Hey, it's Shook and Luby here from the Keeper Asylum, and as you can see by the video behind us, we're kind of talking about the history of goalkeeping, or the evolution of goalkeeping, as it were. So, Shook here would be more of an expert on this topic because he's a little bit more seasoned than I am.
We can come out and just say a little bit older. I think I began playing in the goal somewhere in the early to mid 1980s, and where we stand now in 2012, the goalkeeper's position as a whole in terms of its responsibility as keeping the ball out of the net and also getting the ball moving forward as the first attacker has evolved greatly.
Yeah, and I mean, I always think back to having my grandfather come to soccer games when I was a kid, and anytime I'd come out for a breakaway or to prevent a through pass or anything else, he'd be like, "What the hell are you doing? You know, stay on your line." When I was watching Lev Yashin back in the old country, he was glued to his line and he was a polar bear back there. That's all he did. So, you know, why are you risking that? And it's tough to explain to him, you know, the position has changed. You know, simple as that.
Yeah, I think we had a big introduction to the goalkeeper role changing with the Campos and the Higuitas in the 90s. Now, they were extremists, but they were also the pace setters and trailblazers of the position and its evolution in terms of being connected to the back line and doing things atypical to the standard goalkeeper who stood back, collected shots, and punted it as far away from their goal as possible.
Yeah, sure. And you know, let's just harp on this. Some changes in the laws of the game have actually led to this evolution. I don't know if you want to talk about. I don't really remember playing other than being an 8-year-old when these old laws existed, but you sure do. And
yeah,
talk about it.
I remember when I was first played in the goal, there were, you know, the things that perpetuated soccer being boring and 1-0 were often a residual factor of the laws of the game, and the ability to kill a game with the goalkeeper and their use of the hands. Just being able to pick up a back pass or anything that you wanted to pick up to kill a game just facilitated the 0-0, the 1-0 score.
So you could actually pick up a back pass back in the day.
Oh, there were times where we would score an early goal, and then no matter what, as soon as an outside back or a center back was pressured, regardless to where on the field, they would turn it around and know they could aimlessly knock a ball 50 to 60 yards backwards. You pick it up, and you would wait for the other team to come and get you. There was no 6-second law. You were basically just bound by your 4 steps.
I mean, did it turn into like a game of 500 where attackers are trying to win the ball? And
there were several occasions where we had players on our teams who could throw the ball in several yards further than most players, and it would just be throw it into the guy who could reach up, receive a ball, and catch it over guys trying to challenge you. And it became boring. It became overly defensive. The game never went forward. And with the elimination, it was basically in 2 phases. The elimination of the back pass, but you were allowed to take throw-ins then, and then the complete elimination of any intentional pass to maintain possession. The game's changed. Our role was forced to change, and then several of our characteristics, roles, and responsibilities were extremely from this to this in terms of being able to play the complete game as a field player and a goalkeeper.
Yeah, that's incredible. Wow. So, you know, another big thing I've noticed, and this is more recent, but changes in equipment of the game, I think, have sort of changed goalkeeping technique for sure, in terms of shot stopping and dealing with flighted balls and everything else. I mean, you want to talk about maybe how the Jabalani here is kind of...
That's a real weird one for goalkeepers. I'm stumbling over my words, sort of like a lot of the goalkeepers stumbled over that ball for the past 2 or 3 World Cups. The sophistication of the technology in the game now is crazy. The shoes, the Predators or whatever they're wearing now with all the fins and rubber, adding all the spin and revolution to balls. The balls themselves now have become just by nature almost impossible to take on one touch if anybody hits it with any pace. The knuckles, the swerves, the double swerves of balls that we've seen back from the Brazil-France game when Roberto Carlos hit that free kick that sent Fabian Barthez into a spinning top and rooted him into the ground. It's just become, it's crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, how important is it to integrate sort of changes like that into our methodology, into our coaching, how we prepare our keepers to play the game? I think it's been absolutely vital to kind of harp on that in terms of, you know, set position itself has changed. I mean,
yeah, we've had to become more athletic, more mobile. Everything we do with our agility, speed, and quickness has escalated because of the technology and the sophistication within the game. Even to the point of everybody having scouting reports and video on every team. I mean, you can talk to coaches down to a U14 level who can, with one phone call, almost reach anybody in their region of the country, have video uplinked to their site, and they can watch an upcoming opponent, you know, within an hour, have a full scouting report.
It's like goalkeeping meets Web 2.0, and it's crazy. But I mean, if you want to stay on top of it, if you want to be an upper level keeper now, you gotta get the proper instruction.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the great athletes of our time right now, the Peyton Mannings, the Tom Bradys, and they talk about all the book work afterwards, all the video session, all the film work. They study the game, study their opponents, study themselves.
Yeah,
that's come all the way into the world of soccer with, you know, post-game, post-training session reviews. I mean, if you're not doing things like that, you're cutting out a vital part of your training regimen.
Yeah, and that's part of our academy program is send in your game tape and you will get live feedback on exactly what's going on in your game to an extreme level of detail.
Yeah, I think we get carried away with game film being that great save you made or this wonderful, you know, drop kick you hit that sent a forward in.
Yeah.
The game's so much more than that. It's more of how are you avoiding having to do that so often? What can you do to help your team, to help yourself, to almost do less, to be better?
Yeah, and I mean, we talk about the 1,000 little adjustments to avoid the one massive sprint adjustment.
Yeah, it's
so
the inability to ebb and flow within a game just causes you to have to fly and float everywhere.
Yeah. So that's a little bit about the evolution of goalkeeping, and we just wanted to get this information out there, get your mind spinning about, you know, what the position has become. It's truly amazing how much it's progressed even in the last 10 years. I mean, it's constantly changing.
Yeah, as much as it progressed from the 80s into the 90s, it's progressing maybe not as much right now, but much quicker.
Absolutely.
What we have to do on an individual level versus, you know, what we did back then on an individual level.
Yeah. Yeah, so thanks guys, and check us out on keepersasylum.com.
Looking forward to seeing you.